Good morning, everyone. We are going to kick off our day. We've got a lot of things to go over. Donna, let's talk about puppy at break. That sounds super exciting. All right. Are you guys ready for today? Today is a
Yes.
very special day for Mega. We're going to have a shorter than normal review. I do want to hear about your forward scripts. I want to hear about the sales meeting. I want to hear about um, some other things that you guys have been doing. But we're going to hold that because today is going to be packed full. We've got more information to throw at you today than we have in any other prior megas. We're still missing a few people, so it looks like we've got a slower start today for some of them, but that is all right. We are jumping right in to module 5. Today we're going to be talking about trust and reputation in the digital age. This class used to be called reputation management, and I've changed it, and we've changed it on purpose to trust in the digital age because we're going to be talking about learning different personality types, including yourself. So we're going to be taking an evaluation today, and we're going to learn our color. Whether we're a red driver, whether you're a blue engineer, whether you're yellow, outgoing personality type, or the green, which is the high empathetic individual. Now, we're all a fusion of these colors. We're not just one thing. Rare that you're one thing, but you're going to have uh, a a sort order. And when you look at that sort order, it starts making you understand yourself a little bit better in how you approach problem solving, how you approach conflict, and how you approach working with other people and what you need from other people. We're doing it less for you to understand your personality type and more so that you can understand the personality type of your client and you can know what they need. And that's the real focus of today. And then we're going to be jumping into the social media outlets, your own TV channel, which I like to call them, your videos that you're putting out, and how some agents have really got it right and how some of them got it wrong. And of course, what we started talking about last time we were together on Monday, which is your reputation is your most valuable asset. And we're going to be digging into that pretty deeply today. So we are in the middle of week 2. We've got uh, today's class, and then Friday's class is Master the CMA. After Friday's class, can you believe Mega will be halfway over? How quick it all happens. All right. First, let's talk a little bit about code of ethics. When we talk about trust, when we talk about reputation management, we have to talk a little bit about the code of ethics and what some of the articles say. We have to play by the rules, but we also have to be ferocious. And so we can do both. We can go out there and learn exactly where the boundaries are and play within those boundaries. And remember, the code of ethics is not about ethics. The code of ethics is a list of rules. The ethics come in with your subscription and you're following the rules. And these rules are just simply a set of business practices. So, professional ethics are business practices that professionals subscribe to, and the ethics come in with you following them. So, a lot of people come into the business, they think ethics, they think they're ethical, and they leave it at that. But once they realize that the code of ethics is a list of business practices, promises that you make other professionals, and that if you don't follow those specific practices, then you will be deemed unethical, then the thought pops into your head, I need to go read this list. I need to know what they say. I need to know where I need to subscribe and what exactly I need to follow. The code of ethics is broken down into 3 sections: clients and customers, the public, and other realtors. We're going to talk also a little bit today about this word realtor and where it came from and how we should be using it. The National Association of Realtors, most real estate agents in the country subscribe and are a member of the National Association of Realtors. And there are a lot of past presidents. Christina Roberto's father is a past president. Cindy Bell is a past president. I am a past president. Gary Kokenauer, who is a broker associate here with us, is a past president. Suzanne Gantner is a past president. Kim Dale is a past president. Um, and I know I'm forgetting people. Victoria Reveal, who is plugged into Realty Texas, and also we acquired their brokerage. Also a past president of the association. And those people who have served the association, they know how to properly use the term realtor, and it's not being applied properly out there. And it shows a lack of education from real estate agents and third parties who use this word wrong, and how embarrassing it is for a group of professionals to not even know how to use their professional designation from the National Association of Realtors. So we're going to dig into that too. But first, how many of you ever read the preamble to not the Constitution of the United States, but the preamble, which of course I'm sure we all remember because we memorized it in high school, or really middle school, but the preamble to the Code of Ethics. This is built in. There's two beautiful writings that come along with our Code of Ethics. There's the Gift of Vision that was written by the 2003 president of the National Association of Realtors, and there's this preamble to the code, which was created more than 100 years ago, and it hasn't changed. And when you read the preamble of the code, and I'm going to read it to you, you kind of get this idea that you're a part of something greater than yourself and that the mission is pretty incredible. It says, under all is the land. Upon its wide utilization and widely allocated ownership depend on the survival and growth of free institutions and of our civilization. Realtors should recognize that the interests of the nation and its citizens require the highest and best use of the land and the widest distribution of land ownership. Such interests impose obligations beyond those of ordinary commerce. They impose grave social responsibility and a patriotic duty to which realtors should dedicate themselves and for which they should be diligent in preparing themselves. Realtors, therefore, are zealous to maintain and improve the standards of their calling and share with their fellow realtor a common responsibility for its integrity and its honor. In recognition and appreciation of their obligations to clients, customers, the public, and each other, realtors continuously strive to become and remain informed on issues affecting real estate, and, as knowledgeable professionals, they willingly share the fruits of their experience and study with others. So, again, something written over 100 years ago talks about land, talks about that in order for the survival and growth of free institutions, that we would need to recognize that the interests of the nation and its citizens require the highest and best use of the land and the widest distribution of land ownership. More people owning a slice of our country, owning your piece of land underneath your home. And that is something that not all countries subscribe to. And this is something uniquely to the United States. So we're going to ask a couple questions. What is the significance of the Realtor Code of Ethics? Can you violate the code without knowing? If yes, how do you fix the wrong? Give an example. What should you do if you witness a violation? What would you want someone to do if they saw you or if they witnessed you violate it? And is one violation more serious than another? I'm going to put you in breakout sessions, and I want you guys to answer these 6 questions, select a group captain, and come back, and we will evaluate the answers and what you guys came up with in your groups. This is good critical thinking. Because we have a few less people today, I'm going to put you in 5 groups. 5 groups is 5. Yes, that works. And you're going to get 8 minutes for this. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. You're going to get, I'll split the difference. You'll get 9 minutes. Okay, welcome back. So there is a reason we're starting with the Code of Ethics today, because we're going to show people who have flirted with stepping outside the lines today. And we're going to even probably challenge you on what you think where the line is, and we're going to be referencing back to this conversation all the rest of the day. All right, as we often do, we're going to start with group five first. Amanda, Charles, Melissa, Miriam, and Iselet. Who is the captain coming out of group five? Amanda. All right, so I'm going to ask you, Amanda, to answer number one.
Okay, so Miriam said, and Isolette also agreed that it should elevate us above, provide a higher level of service. She doesn't feel like that's always happening because people aren't studying the code of ethics. Um, and they said it should set standards for how realtors should operate their business, treat their clients, fellow realtors, and also the public.
Hmm. Yes, thank you. Okay, Amanda. I'm going to come back to group five in a moment. Group four, David, Dominique, Mia, Sarah. What did you come up with? Item. Who's the group captain first?
I am.
Thank you, David. What'd you come up with two? Can you violate the code without knowing it?
Yes, you can. And that, uh, well, we said you might be able to. If you know it, then no, you shouldn't. But yes, there might be instances where you do. And do you want an example?
Sure.
Then an example that we talked about is you get a call, you run out the door totally unprepared, and do try to do showing, do things, and you're not demonstrating the competence or the knowledge that you should to properly serve that client.
Hmm. Okay. I like it. I like what I'm hearing. Okay, thank you very much, group four. Group three, what'd you come up with? Um, for number three. Who is the group captain?
Is that us? Were we group three? Am I in that one?
Kevin, Damien, Isabel, Janice,
Yeah.
you, and Mohammed. So yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I was the captain of that. And probably of all the different points, that was the one we discussed the least. We kind of gravitated to some other points, but um, we do think there are different grades as far as, I mean, a violation's a violation, but did we do something intentionally or was it an oversight from lack of education or knowledge? But we all agreed that we should be direct and own what we've done, and also not escalate things beyond what they need to be. And remember that we're representing our clients and, not, we also agreed to believe the best about the other agent until we're proven otherwise, but have our eyes wide open. So if we know something's wrong, fix it. And if we need to have a conversation, have the conversation.
Who else do we represent besides the client?
The broker. Oops, I didn't mean to yell that. I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
great.
you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Amanda. Who else besides the broker?
Ourselves,
Ourselves.
Ourselves in meaning what?
my name, my reputation.
Reputation.
The
Oh,
industry.
The
yeah,
industry,
the other
exactly.
brokers. Yeah, I mean other, yeah, agents.
The profession. Remember the profession. So yes, I agree
Hmm.
that we are representing ourselves. We're representing the client. We're representing the broker, and we're representing the entire profession. And so, um, we when we get into the negotiation side of things, um, it's going to lift a veil of just what we should be doing out there and how we should behaving. So I'm looking forward to module 12 as well. Thank you, Kevin. Excellent job. Good job, group three. Two, Donna, Eric, Marlene, Melinda, Polly. Who is my captain out of group two?
That was me, Jack.
Okay, Eric. So what should you do if you witness a violation?
Uh, you know, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring it to the agent's attention first, right? Try to have grace because it could be a new agent that doesn't know. You don't know what you don't know. So the first situation is kind of handle it, at the lowest level. And then just depending on the situation, elevate it from there. But definitely bring it up. You don't want to walk past the violation, and not do anything about it. Bring it to the attention and try to provide the education.
So does everyone agree that you should bring it up to the person that you witnessed the violation? Raise your hand if you agree with that.
Absolutely. That definitely. The first
Okay.
thing.
All right.
Maybe it
Raise
depends.
your hand if you don't agree with that. And if you're abstaining, raise your hand. Okay, there we go. Because there were some hands missing. All right. So, what happens if, what is your next step if the person who you've approached is not receptive?
So yeah, we kind of discussed that, and then we would elevate it to the next level, bring it to our sales manager first. Let the more experienced agent know about the situation, and then kind of let them handle it at their level. It may need to be a sales manager, broker to broker type of situation, but I take the mindset of just handling it at the lowest level and then elevating it from there, depending on the situation as well. You may not need to bring it up to the agent right on the spot because it could be a more serious violation or the situation could be, volatile. I guess it's just situational based, really.
So I'll share a story with you. Last week it happened. We had a broker associate, not at Realty Texas, but at another firm, who sort of called us and said that she was the broker of Compass. I know who the broker of Compass is, and it's not this broker associate. And this person called my cell phone 4 times, called the ISA line, called the 800 number up desk, and demanding that she speak with me directly. And I had already given her to Michael Potter, and she said, I'm not going to speak to some realtor. I am a broker, verbatim with the tone. And I have a rule here. If an if another agent has a complaint against one of our agents, they don't get to talk to me. They do not get to talk to me. If they get to talk to Mr. Potter, and then Mr. Potter gets to talk to me. Just like I don't let our agents, this is something that's in our policy, call the broker of another agent. We don't do that. We don't let them do it. Bring it manager to manager and then broker to broker. And so, because we have all of these things recorded, these conversations, it got really over the top. And this agent called Key Title, this broker of Compass called Key Title and asked Monica, demanded Monica not fund a transaction closing Friday at the end of the year. Demanded that they do not fund a transaction. And she was trying to stop a transaction from funding, which she doesn't have the right to do. She doesn't have any. And Monica was in here and she was losing her mind. She's like, I don't know what to do. This person's not a designated supervisor. They're not the agent for the transaction and they were not the broker of Compass. So I did some back channeling and I did message the broker of Compass and said, "Hey, your agent is relentlessly trying to get me to take their call. I'm not doing it. I've given them to Michael, who is my designated supervisor, and they're refusing to talk to them, and they will only talk to me. And by the way, here's a recording that they left." And I got a call back from actually an email back from Compass and said, "We will take swift action on this." So whew, sometimes we're gonna be dealing with people that are bullies in transactions, and this person was a bully and way overstepping their boundaries, and sometimes we're dealing with that mess. But sometimes you have an agent who has stepped into something and they had no idea it was a violation, and you let them know it was a violation, and they're very humble. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I am so embarrassed. So how you approach these things matter. I think that we have an obligation as a profession to call the other agent on the other hand and say, hey, I'm not going to beat you up about this, but I saw something and I have an obligation to bring it to your attention. That's always how I started. I'm not going to beat you up about this, but I saw something that I need to bring to your attention. I have an obligation to do so. And then I just let them know. And that's a violation of Article 1-3 of the Code of Ethics. And so I urge you to read it and take a look at it and familiarize yourself with that practice. And then I always end with this. What do you think about that? Because I am looking for grace. And if they come at me with all the words, leave me alone, it's none of your business, whatever, then I will forward that on to their broker. And if their broker doesn't seem receptive, then I know that you have a broker who's allowing this type of behavior, and the problem is bigger than the agent. So then I send it off to Texas Realtors and I let them handle it in the professional standards. I have done that 6 times in 21 years. Six, six, six complaints I've filed in 21 years. This is not something that I do often. Most people take accountability for it. So, what should you do if you witness a violation? Um, exactly what Eric said, exactly what group two said. So, thank you, Eric. Exactly right. And not only were they right, but he mentioned a very important thing. Maybe you bring it to my supervisor. So he's going to take it to Michael and say, Michael, can you call this agent supervisor, supervisor to supervisor and have this conversation? Which means he's kind of washing his hands from it and letting people who are hired to do those jobs mediate this. And that way he gets out of the crosshairs of the whole thing as well. And it's less about you, the agent now, and it's going to get handled. So exactly right to the T. So good job, group two. Group one, Christina Roberto, Denise, Eden, Indu. Who is the captain coming out of one?
I am.
Denise.
Um,
Okay. So what would you want someone to do if they saw you violate the code?
um, from the flip side of what Eric said, I would share appropriately because I don't want to escalate, but you don't want to be condescending either. But treat them with grace and understanding because they may or may not be aware of what they just did that you're approaching them about.
No, no, other side. What would you want someone to do if
I would want
they
them to,
saw you violate?
I would want them to approach me and share with me without talking down to me or being insulting, but to share in a non-confrontational way um, of what I did so we could talk about, because it could be something that I didn't realize that I did, that I can be more mindful of, a speech or action that we're discussing.
And does that agent have any responsibility to bring it to you first, or could they take it directly to Texas Realtors and file a complaint against you?
They could just bypass me altogether and just take it there if they chose to, but it'd
And
be
if they,
nice if they would share with me first, but
yeah. So I think that by doing that, they are taking, a risk that they're going to get yelled at. Maybe they don't want to deal with that. Maybe they're already concerned of that. So, you came out the gate saying that you would care very much how they present this information to you. For me as an agent, I wouldn't care if they're being condescending. I wouldn't care if I made a mistake and it was to the level that I violated the code of ethics of my profession. I
mm,
would be respectful to the person who is talking to me. I would own up to it and I would do whatever I can to make sure that that doesn't escalate to Texas Realtors because the very last thing I would ever want to happen is be sitting in front of a panel of my peers talking about what I did wrong. I would do anything I could to exit that reality. 100%. Everyone agree with that? I promise you, you do
mhm.
not want to be in that scenario. I have had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of situations where I got to be the what they call hearing chair. So I was the chair of the hearing panel, and man, these agents. I mean, my heart always breaks for them. What they're just it's not a fun place to be. That's so counterproductive in your business. It takes so much time and energy that gets sucked out of your business. It is just the last place you want to be. A quick read of the Code of Ethics is going to solve so much for so many people. Thank you, Group Two, or actually Group One. Excellent job. All right, circling back to Amanda in Group Five. What did your group think about number six?
So we felt yes and no, a violation is a violation and you should take all of them seriously. But we did feel that an advertising violation, especially when you use third parties to advertise, they can mess things up. That seemed like a much lower violation than a breach of confidentiality.
Okay, I like it. So I'm going to kind of mirror what you said. I'm going to add it from a different perspective. But you're absolutely right. So I just want to add a little bit to this. There is this idea of good faith versus bad faith. If someone in good faith violated the code, meaning that they didn't know and they weren't trying to hurt someone, and it wasn't an action that was going to be putting themselves over someone else, then and if they're accountable for it, then the entire professional standards engine is going to take that into consideration in the sanctions or disciplinary action, or even how they come out with the case and their findings. If they believe for a moment it's bad faith, meaning that this person set out knowing it was wrong and did it anyway, I call that the mortal sin, and they're going to take that into consideration. And do you know how we identify whether or not it was bad faith? Justification. If someone is in a hearing panel and they try to justify what they've done, if they try to justify it at all, we're done. That's it. We're going the every single person on the hearing panel has decided already of stone faced, because we in a hearing panel, we have to show up professional. We can't, be gasping when we hear one person talk. We actually have to sit through an entire 8-hour day where we're really talk about our facial expressions and how we interact with each other, and how we just sit there and listen to this information, and what the facial expressions can mean in like these type of hearing panels. But as soon as we break and go into caucus and we're just talking to ourselves, boom, it's like, we all lose our minds. So, all right. Thank you. You all did very good. I am going to issue the points to group two, because of the one little nugget that Eric threw in there, which is I'm going to escalate it to my manager. I thought that was really brilliant and really good. So, congratulations, group two. Lisa, if you are listening, it is going to be Donna, Eric, Marlene, Melinda, and Polly. I'm just going to take a quick little screenshot of that and save it here because she might be away. All right. Good job, everyone. You did a fantastic job. All right. So let's dig a little bit here. So, is it ethical for a realtor to swear to protect and obey a code but has never read it? Remember, when you go to way, way back in the day, when you took new member orientation, when you got your license and you first was sponsored by a broker, you had 30 days to take new member orientation at the association. Sometimes it's mandatory to go in person. For some associations require you go in person, and there's a code of ethics thing, and they congratulate you. And some associations will pin you with the realtor lapel pin, and you raise your right hand and you either swear or affirm based on your beliefs that you're going to uphold the code of ethics. It's this whole thing that they do. And you have also promised that you have read it. Is it possible for a realtor to fully obey a code they've never read? And have you ever fully read the code? Now, by now, you've heard me, especially in Mega 17-1, the very first day, the first Monday out the gate. We talked a lot about this, and I asked this question before, which was the first time you were kind of introduced to this idea that there might be things in here that we don't know about, that it's not the golden rule or the golden thread, whichever you subscribe to. So I know that you've heard this all before. So let's talk about a specific situation of a discriminatory practice of an agent who did something wrong, and they were just 100% bent on that they did nothing wrong. And do you think it matters whether or not you agree to the code of ethics? You don't get to argue with the hearing panel that the code of ethics is wrong. That's just not how this is going to roll. And do you think we hear that sometimes? We do. And here's a situation of a actual situation where someone did not like what the code of ethics said, believed they did absolutely nothing wrong, and you might even agree with them in the recesses of your mind. We're in a place in America today where there is so much divisiveness going on about governmental overreach and what it means to have freedoms and all of these things. And we're like at this precipice. We're standing at the edge today, and something's going to break. But that stretch, that friction that's going on out there is not just at the national stage. It's also right here at the realtor stage, right here inside the profession, whether it's the realtor profession or the National Association of Home Builders or insert National Association of blank. They're all feeling the same thing. So here was a situation where we had a listing agent. Her name was Sarah. She lived in the same neighborhood as this listed property. So here's this lady. She's at home and she's drinking coffee in her front room and she can see out the front windows. And the next door neighbor's home came up on the market and didn't use her as the agent. Um, that part of the story was not, there was no I'm mad or anything like that. It's just that's just a piece of fact. The backstory of whatever happened there was not introduced into it. In any event, the home next to her was listed. And she saw a car pull up to the sign and an agent get out and remove the for sale sign and install a pending sign. And she's wearing her robe. It's about 7:30 in the morning. She's got her coffee and she's got her little pink flip-flops on and comes running out their front door. Hello, hello, hello. Runs over to the listing agent and says, "Oh my gosh, okay. So, who are the buyers? What are their nationality? Did they have kids? Where do they go to church?" Asking all these questions because she is very interested in who the names are going to be. And let me say that none of the language that she was saying seemed like she was taking a position, like she would care one way or the other what the answers would be. But nonetheless, the questions were asked. So the listing agent, knowing that we have had Long Island Divided, which is a video that we're going to see about paired testing that was going on by an organization that was called News Corp at the time. And they did paired testing and they went into real estate offices and they asked all kinds of questions and they filmed audio and visual of what the real estate agents' responses were. And out of 30 cases, they failed 26 times. And so it was aired on prime time news about how these agents failed in their duty to obey the code that they subscribe to. So this agent's like, am I being punked? Number one, am I being recorded? Number two, what am I going to do about this? And so the agent was very uncomfortable knowing that another real estate agent was asking these questions. It has to be a punk. It has to be something. So this agent, to protect themselves, turned this over to the board. So, based on the facts of what I just told you, now we know that this thing made its way to a professional standards hearing. Do you believe that Sarah violated the code just based on asking these questions? Raise your hand if you think the code was violated simply by asking the question. Okay. Can a license holder ask these questions? And the answer is no. If you're a member of the National Association of Realtors, specifically that group, you may not ask these questions. You can't even ask because neither a license holder nor a realtor may act in a manner that could even be interpreted to indicate a preference based on any protected class, and those each one of those fell into its own unique protected class. So whether that irks you, upsets you, offends you, or you're right there saying this is not right, um, the rule is the rule. The code of ethics is the code of ethics. I remember very distinctly when I was a regional vice president with Texas Realtors, them bringing us into an orientation class and sitting us down and them talking about the what we call the one rule. When we go into a board meeting and we have a conversation, there's going to be people who don't vote with the group, who diametrically oppose what you're talking about, and we walk out of that room with the one voice. we that was the vote, and we're not going to throw anybody under the bus, and everybody walks out of the room. We don't talk about what happened in the room. We walk out of the room and we say that was the vote, and it was, and they might say who voted yay or nay, but no one throws anybody under the bus because we're going to go with the majority vote. That is true. And they said, well, what happens if, for instance, the PAC, the Realtor PAC, the Political Action Committee, what happens if they back a candidate that violates the code of ethics and or doesn't subscribe to the code of ethics? And they did once. There was a candidate, a candidate in Texas, who Texas Realtors backed, that had some pretty damning things to say about a certain group. And there were some real estate agents really offended by this person and very upset with Texas Realtors for backing them. And Texas Realtors says, look, our job in the PAC is to support candidates who support our initiatives, the Fair Housing initiatives, not the Fair Housing initiatives, the um,
At home with diversity.
no, nothing to do with diversity at all. Right to own, right to own, right to be a homeowner, homeownership rights. Thank you. Ugh. Someone who subscribes to homeownership rights, and that is what Texas is looking for only. And so they're always backing things that is supporting kind of this idea of homeownership rights. That's what they're focused on, not all this other stuff. And so that got really divisive. And they said, we're not going to back a candidate who's not pro real estate uh, over someone who is pro real estate but doesn't like a certain group of people. We need to get our initiatives passed at the Hill, and that's what they have to do. And that became, do you sacrifice homeownership rights for principle or vice versa? Very, very controversial. This is the kind of thing attorneys spend an entire day in ethics class arguing about, which we're not going to do here today. But one of the things that Texas Realtor said is, look, this is the code of ethics, and you have a choice to either be a realtor or not be a realtor. You can either subscribe to it or not subscribe to it. If you don't subscribe to it, you can't be a realtor. So you have a choice because they said, you're not giving me a choice. You're forcing this upon me. And their response was, no, you have a choice. You cannot be a realtor. Plain and simple. You can subscribe and be a realtor, or you're not invited to be part of the club, period. So subscribe to these rules because that's what they are. And if you really don't like them, you can go on this little tantrum of yours and you can take it all the way to NAR and try to change the world. Because that's people who, want to change the world, that they take on something like this and they try to change the rule. But you don't get to violate the code. If you want to change the rule, you can work on that yourself. But whatever the rule is, we have to follow it and know a realtor can't ask these questions because they're showing a preference. And if you knew what I knew and you saw what I saw, you would completely subscribe to this because this is where it all starts. And there has to be a very thick line in the sand that says this behavior will not be tolerated, even from slightly putting your toe outside of that line, because there are some bad actors out there that make our profession look really, really bad. So, uh, the Texas Realtors referred this to Trek, and Sarah was found to be in violation of Trek Rule 531-19, Canons of Professional Ethics and Conduct, due to her inquiry about the prospective's race and religion. Not only was she found in violation of the Realtor Code of Ethics, but also federal fair housing laws and the Trek rules. And so she quickly learned, Miss Sarah quickly learned, that those questions were the exact wrong questions. Now, when the hearing panel had come together, had she taken a different position instead of trying to justify her actions, probably would not have been referred to Trek because she made it clear that, well, I'm not going to be a realtor if this is how y'all treat each other. And it just got pretty ugly and pretty bad. And the hearing panel is trying to determine, are you going to do this again? Is this your behavior? And you're telling us in this hearing panel that you don't agree with us and you're going to continue this practice because you think that we're wrong and you're right. So we're going to refer this to Trek, the people who hold your license, and we'll let you see what they say about it because you're not listening to us. And it got that bad. It's very few situations where they're going to submit something to Trek out of a professional standards hearing panel like that. And in this case, they did because of a lack of accountability. So accountability matters, being humble matters, and taking responsibility and saying, I'm gonna follow the profession's rules. If I'm gonna be part of this profession, I'm going to subscribe to the rules. Now, I lightly touched on this before. In November 2019, I was the incoming chair for Professional Standards of Texas. And this Newsday released this bombshell report, and it was called Long Island Divided. This thing happened in Long Island, and we're going to watch a little bit about this video, and you're going to see exactly what we're talking about here in this hinting about federal fair housing laws. So Newsday, they did what's called paired testing. What paired testing means is they hire actors, and they give them lapel pins and mics and cameras that you can't see, and you'll have 3 different sets of people, and they all have the same last names. They all have the same incomes. They don't have the same last names. They have the same incomes. They have the same backstory. Looking to buy a house, job transfer, this much money, and they're all different protected classes. Go into the same real estate brokerage. And the question was, did they get to see the same properties? And did they get the same treatment? And what did the real estate agents advise them about a neighborhood? And they found out in some situations, the real estate agent would say, oh, no, 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 you don't want to live in there unless you want to see people selling crack on the street. And then have the same conversation with someone else. And they said, oh, it's a lovely neighborhood. So we're gonna hear some of this. This is gonna be homework for you to hear the whole thing. We're only gonna hear about the first 8 minutes of it. That's about all that I can tolerate hearing, and then I'll let you guys take this up at home. Let me make sure I shared my sound.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. My name is Jesus Rivera. Today's the 21st of April.
It's about 10 after 2, and I'm in my car.
So it's Richard Helling testing as Pat Browning on May 3rd.
Hello. Hi. My name is Kelvin too. How you doing? Yes, Kelvin.
How are you?
Yeah, me and my wife is looking to purchase a home within the Brentwood area.
They were ordinary Long Islanders.
Right. Maybe go get some more then, okay?
And we sent them to meet with real estate agents to ask about buying their first home.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you.
They were trained, confident, and followed scripts.
Tag in Stephen Macropoulos as Nicholas Parisi.
They had no idea what houses agents would suggest, or even which communities.
You were not going to like those schools.
But you don't want to go there. It's a mixed neighborhood.
Mixed neighborhood.
If agents are courteous and professional, how can you know that they're treating you equally compared with someone of a different race or ethnicity?
I have to say it without saying it, you know.
Behind smiles and handshakes, how do you know if they're giving you fewer options or suggesting different areas?
I'm not going to send you anything you want to unless you don't want to store your card to buy your crack.
Or that rules don't apply to you and another home buyer in the same way.
Yeah, okay, I definitely need that.
Long Island is one of America's most segregated suburbs. Newsday set out to discover what role real estate agents might play in keeping it that way, potentially affecting the quality of lives.
Technically, as a real estate agent, we shouldn't tell the buyers.
In house hunting, it's nearly impossible to see evidence of hidden discrimination. You would never know unless you go undercover.
In one test, Johnny Mae Alston was the black tester, and Cindy Parry was the white tester. And they met with Anne-Marie Quealy-Bichon at Signature Premier Properties office in Cold Spring Harbor. They asked for the same thing. As often happens, the agent discussed getting pre-qualified or pre-approved for a mortgage by a bank, showing how much a buyer can spend on a house.
You pre-qualified, I asked. My husband's working with somebody in a bank. We've done some preliminary talks, about getting pre-approved.
Neither had been pre-approved or pre-qualified. Here's what the agent told the black tester.
So I really need that. I won't take out any money unless you have a pre-qualification letter. So I need to know that means I can't pre-qualify for a mortgage. Oh, so that means I can't go out to see anything. I won't do it. You can try another person, but I don't have the time.
And without pre-approval, here's what the agent told the white tester.
What is your availability? When can you start looking at houses? I would say not this coming week.
Cindy received 79 listings from this agent. Johnny Mae couldn't get any listings. And Cindy, the white tester, received 2 home tours. They had the same finances, the same budget, and they made the same request in the same area. But one was white